Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session on agency conflict. Today, I'm going to discuss a little bit about what agency conflict is, give you some real-life examples of it, and also discuss ways that you or companies can reduce it. So first, let's take a look at the typical for-profit enterprise structure. As a reminder, you normally have your owners and your shareholders at the top. So these are the people who own the business. They elect a board of directors. The board of directors then hires corporate officers. Your corporate officers are known by names such as Chief Executive Officer or CEO, Chief Financial Officer or CFO, Chief Legal Officer, Chief Human Resources Officer, etc. The corporate officers are responsible for setting the overall objectives of the company and then executing and implementing on those. In order to make it all happen, they hire managers and the managers hire employees. Here is the conundrum. The owners of the company own the business primarily because they want to increase their own personal wealth. There may be some other ancillary reasons, but normally that's the key. What they'd like is everybody shown on these boxes below to all be focused on helping the owners achieve this goal of increasing the owner's wealth. The challenge is sometimes people in the officer's box, the manager's box, or the employee's box, or all three, are not similarly so motivated. So, what is agency conflict and how can you stop it? Agency conflict is simply when employees act in a manner that is contrary to what the owners want. What do the owners want? To become wealthier. So anything that the employees do as it relates to the business that does not advance the owner's desire to become wealthier is an agency conflict. Some employees are conflicted because they are focusing on increasing their own personal wealth instead of the owner's wealth. Let's talk about some examples. I'll give you one and then perhaps you can think of some others. For example, in the fast food industry, sometimes you have employees who will offer their friends when they come into the fast food restaurant free food. By giving them free food, that makes the friends feel good, of course. It makes the employee who gave the free food feel good that they helped their friends out, but it does not help the owner of that particular restaurant. Every time you give away free food, you're actually hurting the owner's ability to generate profits and wealth. Can you think of any other examples? Here's an example where you have a bar. The bar owner would love for the bartenders to sell as many drinks as possible within the time that they're open. But every now and again, you have situations where maybe the bartender pours a free drink or multiple free drinks. When they pour free drinks, they are pouring profits and therefore the owner's ability to generate more wealth right out the door. So that's an example of agency conflict. The employee is doing something that will not advance the owner's best interest, which is to become wealthier, and in fact, will hurt that interest. And here's another one. This one is from the sports world. We had a situation a couple years ago when a referee was accused of and ultimately admitted to fixing NBA games. And this is an agency conflict because when you think about it, the owners of sports teams in the United States, particularly your professional basketball and baseball and football teams, earn most of their money from the broadcasting revenues that they sell, the broadcasting rights that they sell. So the major broadcasters in the United States pay the leagues and the owners for the right to showcase the games on television or on social media and streaming and so forth. The broadcasters are doing that because they believe that showcasing these games, particularly if they're live, will, of course, get them audiences and viewers, which is then going to increase the broadcasters' revenues, which is why they're willing to pay for this right. when you have a situation such as we had here, where you had an NBA referee who actually conspired with the mob so that the mob would bet on games where he was refereeing, and he would make bogus calls during those games so that he could influence the ultimate point spread, that's agency conflict. He was being paid by the mob to do this. The mob was making money because they were winning their bets, but this is hurting the owners. It's hurting the owners because now, if people believe this is widespread, they probably won't pay to watch a game, to go to a game, or watch a game on TV. What's the point if the game is fixed? And if they're not going to pay to watch a game, then the broadcasters are not interested in paying the owners for the rights to broadcast the game. So this is an example of agency conflict with a referee who is actually acting in contrary to the owner's best interest. Can you think of ways that agency conflict can be reduced? Here's an example. Some companies believe one way to reduce agency conflict is to hire good employees. And by good employees, that includes employees who are not criminals, employees who don't do drugs, employees who will show up for work on time, and employees who hopefully will do things to advance the owner's best interest of increasing the owner's wealth. So, hence we have things like background checks, fingerprint checks, and sometimes drug testing, and some businesses use all three. Another example, not only in the retail industry, but it's one where you see it a lot, is anti-theft devices. Yes, those are used so that customers hopefully will be deterred from stealing from the business, but they're also important to ensure employees aren't doing that. And that is such a rampant issue that there's a name for it called shrinkage. But at many retailers, you will notice in the ceiling, there are cameras. And those cameras, again, are to deter the customers from doing bad things, but also the employees. They don't want the employees taking money out of the cash register and slipping it into their pocket, or ringing up certain items, but maybe ringing up every other item and allowing the customer to walk out with some free. So, one of the key things I want you to remember is that agency conflict can be reduced, but it cannot be eradicated. As long as you have owners who are hiring others to run the business, you have the potential for agency conflict. And there are certain tools, as those we just discussed, that you can use to try to reduce it, but you cannot eliminate it. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed this session on agency conflict.